Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, December 6, 2022. Stand up for your country. So, times are tough. I mean, we all know that. Even for the affluent in America, yeah, they can get by and they'll live pretty much the way they always lived. But for the working men and women and the poor, boy, it's devastating times. Yet most poor Americans vote for the people who have imposed the tough times upon them. And a lot of working class people do too. And it is always rattling around my mind, how much pain do we have to suffer before people start to wise up? And that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Here's the essential problem so that you understand it. The Democratic Party spends trillions of dollars unnecessarily. Since Biden has been in office, less than 2 years, $5 trillion in spending added to the national debt and to the budget. $5 trillion in less than 2 years. Unsustainable. What does that mean? It means that the economy is going to collapse if this continues because we don't have the money. The United States doesn't have the money. So we print more money. And that brings down the value of the money in circulation. That's inflation. Yet 90% of Americans don't understand it and won't take the time to learn it. And I'm sitting here going, how many people are you going to vote for on the liberal side that are absolutely going to continue this? So Warnock will likely win today in Georgia. Okay? He's almost a communist, this guy. That's how extreme left he is. Yet all the networks are behind him, Slash and Walker, not even mentioning any negatives on the Warnock side. And, and then people are sitting there at home watching this stuff. They don't know. So there comes a point where Americans, working and poor, we're just going to have to go into insolvency. They're not going to be able to pay the rent. And we have food insecurity now in many places where people can't feed their children because they don't have enough money. Because everything that they had 2 years ago has gone up 40%. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating here, not everything, but a lot of stuff. So there's a new Gallup poll out, 1,822 adults, okay. Very simple poll. Have recent price increases caused any financial hardship for you and your household? Yes, 55% of the nation. 55%. Yet the midterms weren't a repudiation of the people who have brought this on the country. 2 years ago, this time, everybody was singing a song. Economy was robust, no inflation. Okay? So this isn't an opinion. Second question is that severe hardship affecting your ability to maintain your current standard of living. Okay? No, my standard of living is going down. It's a severe hardship, 13%. So maybe that's the problem, that the pain that's being inflicted on us hasn't reached the point where most people's standard of living has changed. And you know why? Because they can credit everything. So whatever you used to buy, you still buy and put it on a credit card, but your debt mounts and mounts and mounts, just like the U.S. debt mounts and mounts and mounts. And now we got another thing coming. We've got to refurbish our military in the Pacific to deal with China. That's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars. We have to. So that's coming. You think that Biden administration would know it's coming and then start to cut back in other places? Yeah. They throw tens of millions of dollars around like they were quarters. Yet again, people continue to vote for this. Yes, they think they're voting their own self-interest because of the entitlements they may get back. Now, COVID, yes. I mean, we all know that COVID devastated everything in this country. And Trump and Biden, and Trump was a big spender, by the way. He's a very big spender, but not at the Biden level. And Trump and Biden had to sign these bills that gave Americans financial relief. Okay. But you don't do that continually. This Inflation Reduction Act is absurd. Is the amount of wasteful spending that goes into the pockets of private corporations to develop green stuff is in the billions, heavy billions. Nobody knows it. They don't pay attention to the Inflation Reduction Act. You go out on the street, I guarantee you, you ask 10 people what the Inflation Reduction Act, no one will know. Okay, so we're heading for Armageddon here in the next, if the Democrats win the presidency in 24, there will be a collapse. Okay, that's the memo. Now, Biden goes off to Arizona today. No reason why. No reason at all. Because the hot spot is Georgia, but the Georgia Democrats don't want him there. Because he would take votes away from Warning. So he goes to Maricopa County, Phoenix, to do nothing. I mean, they're unveiling some green thing there. Okay, good. He didn't have to go there. Now, this costs us, the taxpayer, millions of dollars for him to go and come back. But an interesting question was asked by Peter Doocy of Fox News. Roll the tape.
Why go to a border state and not visit the border? Because there's more important thing going on. They're going to invest billions of dollars in a new enterprise.
What a bunch of bull. All right. So Phoenix is about, 120 miles away from the border. Easy helicopter ride. He didn't want to go to the border. Why? Because that brings attention to the border. And Biden will never go to the border. I shouldn't say that. They might be forced to, but he hasn't gone because it'll bring attention to the catastrophe of the border. But at least Doocy would ask questions like that. I mean, you think every White House correspondent, no, they don't care. All right, this Twitter thing in Biden. So once again, the Democratic Party's allies, the corporate media, with the exception of Fox News, they rallied around to suppress the Elon Musk story. So the Elon Musk story essentially is that Twitter suppressed information before the 2020 vote that would have hurt Biden. So now the mainstream media is suppressing the suppression. It was asked again by a Fox News correspondent, why or what does Biden think about it? Go.
That is full of old news, if you think about it. And at the same time, Twitter is facing very real and very serious questions about the rising volume of anger, hate, and anti-Semitism on their platform, and how they're letting it happen. And, the president said last week, more leaders need to speak out and reject this. And it's very alarming and very dangerous.
All right, so you see the strategy there. We're not going to mention the suppression of the Hunter Joe Biden story, we, the White House. Every time you ask about it, we're going to tilt off into there's hate speech on Twitter and we condemn it. See, this is called spin. That's what they do. All right, they being the media people in the White House. But they're not the big spinners. There's a group at K Street in Washington, D.C., a Democratic group. It's actually a few of them that every morning holds a conference call, and then they give directions to the news agencies and other people on how to deal with certain stories. But it was clear that Jean-Pierre had been coached. If you're asked about the Twitter suppression Elon Musk story, this is what you do. You say, it's old news and nothing new there, but Twitter is full of hate and we're going to... See? That's how it works. All right, so Trump hurt himself again for the, 10,000th time by saying that the election of 2020 was so fraudulent and so fixed that steps have to be taken to reinstall him as president, even if those steps negate some parts of the Constitution. That's essentially what he said. So That was not received well. And then he realized that that was not a good thing to say, so he's issued a clarification. And here it is. A massive fraud of this type and magnitude. Okay, I'm sorry, I was reading the original statement that I told you about. Here is the repudiation of the original statement. The fake news is actually trying to convince the American people that I said I wanted to terminate the Constitution. This is simply more disinformation and lies, just like Russia, 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 and all the other hoaxes and scams. What I said was that there is a massive and widespread fraud and deception, as has been irrefutably proven in the 2020 presidential election. Steps must be immediately taken to right the wrong, unquote. Okay, that's essentially what he said, but then he brought in the Constitution. The quote was, this fraud allows for termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. He can't say that. But the essence of what Trump was getting at was, I don't think his repudiation statement was dishonest. He just left out the part that he shouldn't have had in there in the first place. All right, finally on the Biden front, Kirstie Alley's died. Now, why am I linking actress Kirstie Alley with Joe Biden? I will tell you in a minute. 71 years old, died from cancer. She's most famous from Cheers. All right, one of the most successful television shows of all time. Now, Kirstie Alley was conservative and a Trump supporter. So I was pleased to see some very nice obituaries of her today, but she'll be gone tomorrow forever, because the Hollywood establishment turns on any performer or producer or writer who is not an ardent liberal, not just a kind of independent liberal. You got to be an ardent liberal. You want to work out there, and I can prove that 87,000 ways when it comes to me myself. If you are stuck in a timeshare and you haven't called Lone Star Transfer yet, what are you waiting for? Lone Star Transfer has helped more than 16,000 happy customers. They are family-owned, have a 99% success rate. Their process is done legally, ethically, and quickly. I mean, does it get better than that? The team at Lone Star Transfer will keep you informed every step of the way until you are legally and permanently released from your timeshare. So don't pay another penny for a timeshare you don't use. Get peace of mind today with Lone Star Transfer. They guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Give Lone Star Transfer a call for a free no-obligation consultation. 855-551-7066, 855-551-7066, or online at lonestartransfer.com. Okay, let's go into crime. People don't know this is just why I'm doing this segment. So one of the reasons that we're paying more for products in America is because of crime. All right, some stats for you. So retailers on average last year saw a 27% increase in shoplifting and things like that, 27%. 8 in 10 retailers surveyed reported that violence and aggression associated with incidents increased in the past year as well. So not only is it shoplifting, but it's scaring off employees from working in the retail stores. 37% of retailers shrink profits because of that theft. So what happens? They got to pass the cost along to you. All right? And yes, inflation is the main driver, but crime is second. Now, a quick story. We have a little bit of a stake in this. So there's a pizza place that I've gone to for 20 years on Long Island. Not in my hometown, because they all watch and they all know me. Not in my hometown. But I go when I'm out. So I ordered a small pie with sausage. Okay? About 23, 24 bucks. 30 now. And I looked at the guy in the eye. I said, you won't see me anymore. I'm not paying 30 bucks for that. I can get it. It might not be quite as good, but it'll be good someplace else. So when you see craziness, you, the consumer, have some power. But anyway, back to the thefts. So Target, the big chain, okay, their financial officer says that shoplifting has jumped 50% so far this year over last year, resulting in more than $400 million in losses. And this is all happening because of liberal district attorneys who will not prosecute. Shoplifters know it. They know it. They get a ticket. They won't show up for their hearing. They're mostly drug addicts. They don't care. Couldn't care less. So why not do it? And the younger people, say under age 16, they see this. Oh, look, so-and-so's got a new coat. Where'd you get that? I boosted it, I ripped it off. And then they go do it. And there's no penalty. Joining us now from Miami, Florida, Joel Griffith. He is a research fellow in economic policy at the Heritage Foundation. So my setup accurate to you?
Your setup is sadly very accurate. And just a story for you, this happened not too long ago, a few years ago, when I was in Washington, D.C., where I spent a lot of time. And I witnessed somebody coming out of a 7-Eleven, and I noticed that the clerk was very frazzled, and she informed me that this gentleman had actually robbed the store. I did something I shouldn't have done. I actually followed him for a bit, called 911, stayed with him about 20, 30 feet behind for 15 minutes, and guess what? The police officers in Washington, D.C. never showed up. This has been going on for several years now. And I'll tell you what, it's adding up for consumers. You mentioned that the shoplifting has gone up substantially. Well, I crunched the numbers the other day, and if you divide the total amount of retail theft by family in this country, the typical family is having to foot about a $1,100 annual bill for the stores that they frequent getting robbed. This has got to stop.
Okay, $1,100 per American family. They pay more because of costs passed on by the theft, which the liberal elite say is a victimless crime. So all victimless crimes, including drug dealing now, that's a victimless crime, they are not to be prosecuted. That's essentially what's happening, correct?
Oh, this is correct. If you look at San Francisco and New York City, both of those cities over the last few years have decided that if you steal less than $1,000 from a retail center, it's not even considered a felony. And what that means is that even if an arrest is made, which is highly unlikely, even if an arrest is made, those thieves are right back out on the streets, able to commit that crime again because they know there will be no felony record whatsoever. And of course, a lot of those criminals that are ripping off stores for a few $100s, they're actually committing other more dangerous crimes as well. And that's part of the reason why you see crimes across the board, not just robbery, but armed theft and homicide increasing across the board in Democrat-run cities across the country.
Well, there's no doubt about that, because in San Francisco and other liberal centers, the stores are moving out. They're going, look, we're not going to put up with this. We know you're not going to stop it. Now, what is interesting is that many of these stores hire security guards to protect against theft inside the store. Yet the security guards tell me they can't even detain a shoplifter now. They can't even stop the shoplifter from leaving the store with the goods. And if they do anything physical, they get in trouble. Is that correct?
That is correct. A lot of these security guards, even though they would love to do their job, they're actually just there as a possible deterrent. But criminals are catching on and realizing that even if they're caught red-handed, there is very little that security guard is willing or even able to do, because in many instances, those guards will be fired by the stores, not because the store, they're the bad guy, but because they know that now they're incurring civil liability. They can be sued by the actual thieves in some of these left-wing towns. And the bitter irony here is a lot of the prosecutors where, in days gone by when I was in law school, if you wanted to be a prosecutor, you wanted to actually lock up the criminals. Now you have prosecutors that are running for office, funded often by folks like George Soros, that actually have as their agenda to actually release criminals from the prisons into the streets. And those are the prosecutors.
Yeah, that's I can't say.
Decarceration.
Thank you. Decarceration. Why couldn't I say that? And people vote for that. That's what I mean. I don't understand. I'm a logical guy. I think you're a logical guy. You're a PhD. I mean, you study this and base your analysis on data, or you wouldn't be here. They vote against their own self-interests. So if you're living in a ghetto, if you're a horrible neighborhood, and the local bodega or deli is getting knocked over every 2 days, your prices are going up on everything, and you blow for the same people who are allowing that to happen. I don't know. Have you ever looked into that?
Yeah, you've got a point there, Bill. I used to live by Capitol Hill in DC, and it's still a bit of a dangerous neighborhood. And what's sad is that the majority of those communities, there is lower income, but they're law-abiding, they're peaceful people. But when you go to the local Walmart, which I've been to by Union Station, even when you walk in, you feel as if you, as a law-abiding citizen, are suspect because they have everything now behind plexiglass. I'm talking about deodorant, T-shirts, boxers, socks. It makes it very difficult on the vast majority of these low-income folks that are law-abiding, because Mayor Bowser and other left-wing mayors in these cities, because they won't enforce the law. It's the lower-income neighborhoods that are most impacted. Because I'll tell you what, where my family lives now, in suburban Jacksonville, Florida, and Columbus, Ohio, they don't have to deal with this because the cops are still able to do their jobs. If you happen to be in a blue area, it's a different story.
It goes county by county. But the statistics are massive in the amount of shoplifting and crimes of property in the big centers that overwhelm the rural suburban areas. But it's coming here to a theater near you. I mean, I live on Long Island, which is a suburban place, and every retailer, I mean, you're absolutely right, but a lot of these guys here, they do vigilante stuff. I'm not going to name any names, but if they catch you in their shop and you're doing that, it's not going to be good. Anyway, Joel, we really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the holiday season. Thank you for helping us out tonight.
You as well. Thanks, Bill.
Listen to this. Convicted home title thief explaining what happens after he forges your home's title and takes over as the new owner.
Nobody thinks that I can take their house and borrow against the house. Oh no, I have title insurance. It's in my name, or he would have to get some special document. They would call me. Nobody's calling you. After I've stolen the title, borrowed against it, or sold the property, it's 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices. You've got 4 mortgages on your house. You don't even own your home anymore. It's not even in your name.
Home title fraud is growing 2.5 times faster than credit card fraud, if you can believe it. You could be a victim and not even know it. Here's how to protect yourself and verify your home's title is still in your name. Please visit HometitleLock.com, promo code RADIO. Then register your address for your no-obligation home title report, a $100 value free. Again, get your free home title report at HometitleLock.com, promo code RADIO. Okay, here's the final thought of the day, and it's an important one. We all have challenges in life, and all our lives are going to end. And some of them are going to end in a gruesome way. And we have no control over that unless we're doing destructive things to ourselves. But when bad things happen in relationships, in the job market, in your health situation, there's only one thing you can do. Only one. Fight. Fight. Whatever it is, you just say, I'm not going to whine about it. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to fight as hard as I can to correct this issue. Sometimes you're not going to be successful. But that is the most noble thing human beings can do. When bad things happen to you, you don't give in. You fight as hard as you can. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News. We will see you tomorrow. There is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers, rewrite American history, and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. The very freedoms secured by our Constitution are now being threatened by the most liberal leftists our nation has ever seen. They have failed to secure our borders, weakened our position on the global stage, are trying to indoctrinate and corrupt our children in school, and the list goes on and on. But there are plenty of patriots with the courage to stand up to the far left. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in the USA. I am a member, and I hope you will join as well. AMAC members have access to money-saving benefits, a robust website and mobile app, and a magazine filled with all kinds of great content. So please join AMAC today at amac.us and tell them O'Reilly sent you. That's amac.us.